Max, welcome to People in Legal.
Great to be here. Thank you, David.
To go.
We did. It was when I was, I think, just getting started on co-founding Settify.
Yeah.
I think so.
Amazing. And what an amazing journey that was.
It was. So I started as a family lawyer practicing at Lander and Rogers, took the jump in 2017 to co-found Settify grew around Australia, New Zealand, England, Scotland, Canada, were sort of knocking on the United States, and then Christian Beck and the ATI group came knocking on our door. So I made a complete final exit from that in 2023. Took a year to travel and go to festivals in Europe and sit on beaches in Bali.
Oh, what a life!
It sounds great, and it was great for a while, but then you wake up at some point and you go, "Oh my God, I need to do something." And so, I had probably what I could describe as maybe a quarter or midlife crisis.
And then, sounds like a damn good way to spend the year.
I thought, well, God, okay, I need to make something useful now. What am I going to do? And I went back to family law, went back into practice and really enjoyed that. Then saw what's happening in tech, particularly in AI, saw the gap between what's possible now versus what's safe, what's practicable, what's easy for lawyers to be adopting, and thought, all right, I don't want to sit this one out. Time to jump in.
What I really like is I like there's this emergence of all these solutions in the marketplace that are from that are niche solutions from lawyers that have gone, okay, enough's enough. I want to actually now solve a problem that I've actually got. And I always love those stories where people have actually, they've bootstrapped it, they've funded and I guess it was where Settify came from originally. Bootstrapped, you've used it yourself, you've understand the problem deeply, you've built the software, and I guess the next iteration, or the next thing you're actually doing now is pretty much the same. You've actually...
That's right. Yeah, Settify is client intake. It's obviously still around. Something that I'm admittedly really bad at and hate doing and don't do very well is file noting. I mean, all lawyers have to do it. We're all told on day one that you need file notes to be able to refer back to yourself for your own memory. You need to have a clear record of what you've said to the client, what the advice you've given, what the client has, said back to you, what their instructions are. If your file ever gets looked at by a regulator, you need to have a clear record. My dirty secret, and it turns out it's actually not just mine, is that file noting is actually very hard. It's time consuming. Either you're there tapping away madly in the meeting and distracted from your client, or you're focusing on your client, you're getting to the end and you're spending the next 15 minutes sitting out and typing out a file note, which is not billable. So this has been something that's been around forever, file noting. And now technology is so good that we've built something called Smartnote that you can click a button, turn it on a phone call, in a meeting, over a Zoom call, and it just sits there in the background. And at the end of it, it's prepared a perfect file note for you, instructions, advice, next steps, and it can even automate what needs to happen next on the file.
So the workflow that's going to come is actually driven from the file note you've actually written itself, from a smart note you've written.
That's right. It's AI that you check, and then the next AI looks back at what you've checked and then produces the next step. It's funny. It's actually completely changed the way that I practice. I use it myself really heavily, and it's meant that are you familiar with the term vibe coding?
Yep, I've done it. I do it. I'm doing it now.
There you go. Okay. So I'm not a developer. I'm not technical myself. What obviously I work with developers, and what I understand is you go back 5 years, developers were writing code. That was the job.
That's right.
Nowadays, apparently no one writes code.
Right.
They're prompting, they're instructing, they're meeting, they're making decisions, they're reviewing, they're checking for accuracy, they're using their own sense, their own taste, their own style for what this thing should do. I have a bold prediction. I reckon in 2 to 3 years, lawyers will no longer draft.
Really?
Yeah. I know it sounds crazy.
No, but talk me through this one.
Yeah. I think that from my own experience with this is if you've got the right security set up and you've got the right systems and you give it the right context, I have not written an email or drafted a document in the last month or so I've prepared all of these, I've produced all of these, but it has been through a combination of what has been said in meetings going in. It's been me prompting, saying, all right, now it's time to produce this. It's been through me applying my knowledge, skill, experience, taste, sense of the client to go, let's not frame, like edit it, change it. But I have not done a blank page for the last month. I've not used a fixed precedent for the last month. I think precedents, and that's another bold prediction, I think precedents are on the way out.
Wow.
Because basically the tech is getting good enough that if you can set up your environment correctly, you can be producing really high quality output at a fraction of the amount of time. And that then creates the question of how do you capture that extra value? And that's another thing I've had really interesting experience with over the last little while. So it's an exciting time.
So I mean, okay, so you've worked through these matters. You've done real life. You've used in real life. You've actually you've really cut down or removed the drafting. Need to do drafting and things like that. And so you've actually lived it. You lived it. I mean, that must mean that you provide a lot more value from a face-to-face or personal level to your clients because you've actually cut down all the sort of admin stuff.
Yeah, it's a really interesting insight. I've found the two levers that it sort of opens up for you with this kind of efficiency and effectiveness. Actually, I'd call it three levers. One is I think that my output is genuinely better because it's not just me and a precedent. It's something that's intelligent, that's also thinking about these things. So there have been things that I haven't spotted or things that are kind of pretty decent points that I hadn't otherwise considered. So literally quality of output is one of the things that it's delivered. The other thing that it's delivered is more lawyering. What I mean is if I get off a call these days, I don't just jump to the next thing because even if I have something starting in 5 minutes, because I can get off a call, review the file note, and then in one click go, yes, I want you to send an email to the client, updating them about the call I just had with the other side. I would never have done that. It wouldn't be cost effective for me to be sending a letter or an email to my client every time I have a phone call. It'd be too expensive. But now it takes me a minute to review it and send it. So I do that. I then also send back an email to the other side saying, thank you for that call, confirm these were the points, these are the next steps, etc. So what I'm doing is just more. Right? It's still tasteful. I'm not just spamming stuff, but it's the things that you would do if you had more time in your day and if this client had more of a willingness to spend money on their legal matter. You always would have done it because it's higher touch, but you just you couldn't afford it. The client couldn't afford it.
So you're actually making it more complete, wrap out matter in a better way and like just cutting out any potential gaps and things like that.
That's what I'm finding.
And better ROI on the client's money. So if they're putting down this amount on the matter and things to work on it, they know that it's just it's complete. There's just no gaps at all.
That's what I'm finding. The third thing that I'm finding is that for a while, what I was finding is that this is so much more efficient and effective that I'm compressing the amount of my time on a file. I bill by the hour. And so I was running into this problem of like, okay, these clients are getting like an unbelievable deal, but I need to be either marketing a hell of a lot or else I'm like cannibalizing my own practice. So what I did is, because I've operate my own solo family law practice, Pride Family Law, which kind of is pretty much a lab for Smartnote and the tech side of things. I've got about 5 clients. And so I set up a cost agreement that actually went back to the court scale idea. It says, for the time that I'm speaking to you and the time that I'm spending on things, I'm charging by the hour. But for the production of documents, drafting emails, drafting letters, drafting court documents, etc., that's done on a fixed fee, fixed cost basis, a per page basis or whatever it is. It's been perfectly acceptable to clients. And I've priced those so that it's a few $100, say. I still am spending 15 minutes reviewing all of that. I charge for my time. Then there's the few $100 of the drafting time. And what I'm finding is that the client ends up paying about 30% less than they would have previously overall, because it's more efficient. They're only using 15 minutes of my time rather than an hour. And the cost of producing the document makes up about 70% of what it used to be. The real kicker is that because I'm still charging for my 15 minutes, which is what I'm actually spending.
Yep.
In addition, I'm getting $300 or $400 for the production of the document that has not taken my time.
Yep.
It means that I have found that I'm doubling my hourly rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my actual hourly rate is $550, but for the hours that I'm actually practicing family law, I'm earning $1,000 an hour.
Yep. Amazing.
Yeah. It's a crazy time. It's such an exciting time.
At the end of the day, the client's also paying 30% less.
Exactly.
So you're going like, where's the catch here?
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. That's the beauty of efficiency, right? Because efficiency is a magic trick. Efficiency is pulling a rabbit out of a hat and doing something that previously was impossible. So firstly, I was interested when I sent out the cost agreement to my clients. Will any of them question it or ask anything? They've all been really happy with it because it gives very good transparency on like, okay, how much is an affidavit going to cost me to produce? How much is a letter to the other side going to cost me? And they get it. It's clear they understand it. And also because I can show them that this is basically a 30% saving on what you would otherwise be getting, they're all super happy with it. I think the important thing about it is though, I'm not just pinging ChatGPT, right? I'm not just like chucking stuff into an off-the-shelf product. What I have set up, because I work with smart technology people, I wouldn't be able to do it myself. I've set up systems that understand the context of the matter, that understand the context of my practice, that understand the way that I communicate, the way that I think about things. I've put a lot of my IP into the system. So what my clients are getting is not sort of an off-the-shelf experience of like, you know, I'm just pinging your stuff to ChatGPT. Part of the value proposition that I'm giving clients is me, but part of it is technology imbued with me.
Which is actually, it's interesting because you look at AI, and I think AI at its most usefulness is where you're using AI with embedded wisdom of that professional, that expert that's been actually infused in there. I think that is where the real power is, because any mug can go in there and prompt and things like that. But where you've taken this and you've actually trained it up in a certain sort of way, and you've got the right workflows, you're using the right language and that kind of stuff. I mean, just incredible.
And look, I'm lucky because we have been working with a absolute genius called Eric Langenberg, who was one of the head people at Spotify in their machine learning and AI space. So he's been deep into AI for a long time. And I've been working with him on, all right, you've got algorithms, you've got AI, you've got all of that. But how do you work out what machine needs to know in order to have the context to produce a good polished first draft document in the way that I want it to be produced? Turns out that's a hard task. And so that's really where the value is of the IP that we're building with Smartnote.
Really interesting. And I mean, is there application to take this across, I guess, across different kind of markets or professionals? So for example, mediators, when you're talking, I was thinking myself about mediators and actually how they work, and they've got, you know, they've had a meeting, there's a bunch of notes they've actually got from meeting, et cetera. And there's these tasks that have actually got there's notes to send to each party, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. The Smartnote is made to be applicable across all areas of law and all areas of practice. And our ultimate ambitions is for it to be a global product.
Okay.
Nice and niche, really specific, no brainer. It's $99 per seat, you know, per person, per month.
Yep.
And, you know, it produces an incredible amount of work for you. So yeah, we want to keep it really, really niche in that respect, but we've got 15 firms that have signed up for our beta project, and we're just about to deploy it with those 15 firms, which is super exciting. There will be bugs and kinks and all of that. So we'll need to iron that out. But we've got a waiting list that we've opened up for firms that want to start using it once it's been through the beta process.
The link into the I guess a podcast, we put it up on LinkedIn so people can actually go and have a look at what you've got there and find out more.
Would love that.
Yeah, perfect.
That'd be great.
Max, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me.